We can and we will deal with climate change. It's not only a crisis, it's an enormous opportunity.
Colonizers go to war with nature and call it a business opportunity. I tell you that even our dead have drowned in their graves, and you ask me to be polite. Aisha, smile so they know you are not dangerous. And still, 100 dead. 200 dead. 1,500 dead. And no negotiation. No negotiation. No negotiation will bring them back to life. I want the world leaders to know that the earth has a memory.
We don't get it.
You cannot negotiate with nature. There will come a time where no amount of dollars will be able to make up for what is lost and what is broken. We are in a critical time in history, and we don't have much left. Thank you.
People united will never be divided. The people united will never be divided.
There's a quote from Frantz Fanon that says that every generation has its own struggle and will either conquer it or fail. Now you have this generation that is just trying to save the world, to just live a life, because they can see what we couldn't see when we were living our lives in trying to have what we thought was an infinitely good life. And now we know that nothing is infinite. And so this generation was born with the idea of finiteness.
People over profit! People over profit! People over profit!
Libyans have started burying those killed in the tsunami-like flood disaster in the eastern city of Derna.
The 13th of September 2023, I woke up to this awful news that floods took place in the eastern part of Libya, specifically affecting the city of Derna and other nearby cities as well. I was in disbelief, and I'm talking from the perspective of someone who went through a revolution, 2 civil wars. When Storm Daniel hit, came in with heavy rains, and the sand was extremely dry, so the water was just kept piling up, and then it overwhelmed the 2 dams on top of the coastal city of Derna. Those 2 dams were not maintained in years because someone didn't like the idea of paying the maintenance money towards actually maintaining the dams. Entire families were wiped out from the civil registry. Not even one single government official said a word until almost the 3rd or the 4th day of the disaster. Can you imagine the amount of people that died that could have been rescued if the government acted on time? The total of death toll in Libya is almost 7,000 people. Over 10,000 went missing and over 30,000 are displaced. The fact that it happened and the fact that it became 50 times stronger while it was getting closer to the Libyan shores due to climate change, I cannot believe it. Soon we're not even gonna have a functioning planet. And youth are the most affected by that. The people who are supposed to be the future of every country. But it seems like they're all going down this rabbit hole and people don't even realize it. We can see that because this is our future. I grew up listening to many things in regards to global warming. It always seemed just like any other problem. It's not something that is related to you. And since I got involved with the climate movement and became more active with like the climate community, now I see it more and more, and it's getting closer and it's getting worse. I've been invited to give a keynote speech at the 29th Lesbon Forum, hosted by the North-South Center of the Council of Europe. It might be one of the very few opportunities I might receive to actually say what I want to say.
At some point, nature just wins and does its thing, and we pushed our planet into doing so, and we are keep pushing it. We've agreed globally on a limit, and we are currently negotiating that limit. Nature is done negotiating.
It is affecting young people. We're becoming more depressed. We're becoming more anxious. Because when we think about the future, we're thinking about water problem, water shortages. We're thinking about how horrible the world is becoming due to corruption and conflict. Do we want to start families? Do we want to have children? Why would you want to bring a child into this collapsing world?
Being in constant fear of not having a future, I don't think it's a new feeling. I think it's a feeling that was reserved for the poorest and the less privileged. And now everyone is going to live in that constant anxiety.
Today we make a change!
The youth is in the streets protesting, and the public opinion on that is majority bad. Everyone thinks that youth is just making noise, breaking windows, painting things, closing roads, and that will not achieve anything. But think back on every revolution we ever had. It started like this. It started with protest. We need radical optimism.
You are ordered to leave the roadway and utilize the available...
If you are not radically optimistic, you will not be able to fight this fight, because it's too big, it's too difficult, it's too complicated. We need to be so optimistic that we sound delusional, because otherwise we'll just throw the towel at the floor and give up. I think we need to keep in mind is that these young people that are protesting on the streets or speaking to their governments, in other countries they are actually risking their life. They could just disappear.
My activism was the best outlet. It's the thing that really kept me going. Where I come from, if we were to do protests, it could be very dangerous for the people involved. Some people may go to jail but never leave.
And I think the most important choice we can make as individuals is to join together with groups and to become a collective, to get out in the streets, to be an advocate, and even to do civil disobedience. We have to essentially make the public realize that we are in a emergency right now.
Is it getting the kind of attention that you need? Or you're hoping that it's going to get some attention eventually?
The governments and the corporations declared war against the people and against the planet, which means we don't need their attention. They are very attentive in what they're doing. That's a deliberate, coordinated act of violence against life on Earth. So the attention that we are looking for is public attention, because only the public, the general public, ordinary people can rise up and stop this massacre.
Did you guys think that perhaps the kind of attention that you're getting might backfire? So instead of like gaining people's support, you might end up losing people.
Yeah, but that's exactly the purpose of public disruption, is to disrupt normality.
Yes, the protests are aggressive. They are disruptive. They do disrupt everyone's life. And if it doesn't disrupt, it won't achieve anything. But I think that we need to keep in mind that activism comes with a drop of sacrifice. And if we don't have more people sacrificing a little bit of well-being, there will be no well-being for anyone soon.
From you, because you see it on TV, it's closer than you think. We didn't think that we're gonna lose an entire city in Libya either. We just went on with the rest of our lives on a daily basis.
Tu também não podes consentir. Eles também estão a destruir tudo o que tu amas. Eles sabem do que estão a fazer desde a década de 60. Eles sabem que nos estão a matar e eles continuam a planear novos projetos fósseis, projetos de morte.
And now we have 7,000 dead, 30,000 displaced, and over 10,000 missing. So you need to start taking action now.
Tu não podes consentir com este ato de violência. Plástico, certeza que é reciclado.
I may not agree with the way that they're working, but they were extremely determined, and that's something I truly respect. That made me want to support them. I just wanted to be part of this. Regardless, I really wanted to be sitting there with them, just to support them, because even though that we act differently or we take action differently, but in the end of the day, we have the same goal.
Really helpless. I really wanted to help, but I couldn't do anything. It felt awful.
I think we're at a point right now where the choices we make could lock in death for billions of people in the future. So isn't that worth risking arrest over? I've been arrested twice already. So because it's getting worse every single year, the climate movement will grow, and people will take bigger risks out of a sense of desperation. So I'm here because scientists are not being listened to. I'm willing to take a risk for this gorgeous planet. Out of a sense of doing the right thing, and out of a sense of love, if for no other reason, love for our kids. What parent wouldn't take risks like these for their kids.
I see when activists are doing all these activities to gain attention and they get arrested, I always think that you're arresting the wrong people, you know? The true criminals are walking among us, and the law cannot do anything about it because they have money. Decision makers, they always ask you, okay, we understand, but what can we do in regards to climate change without affecting the economy? But it's never asked the other way around. They never ask you, how can we put together this project without harming the environment? That's why we are here, because the climate issue was simply ignored for profit.
Treaties can be signed, opinions can be written, but nobody holds anybody accountable. Nation states are saying all the right things. They're using activist language. But action is not getting done.
I always feel like everything around us is political. Even if you, as an individual, do not take interest in politics, it does not mean that politics will not be interested in you.
All of this that is happening at the intergovernmental system is not separate from you. Every decision that is made, every agreement that is signed, every industry that is allowed in is basically signing off on your life.
We have the Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs and Cooperation of Portugal.
For us, making change is usually through policy, through communicating and bridging the gap between the elders, who are the decision makers, and the youth such as myself. Everybody just talks about possible collaborations. We don't have such conversations at COP or any other event. Everything is so planned, so performative, and it has no true value in the end of the day, no result.
They know the science, they know the stakes, and yet, year after year, time after time, both sides of the political aisle, they keep ignoring the science, they keep ignoring what we know we need to do and taking us further in the opposite direction. Climate activists, we need 1 billion climate activists, and we need climate activists to be much less polite.
You are our hope. You are the future. You are very inspiring. We are used to hearing all that during conferences, meetups, events. We are used as props. We're just there for decoration, basically. So it's not really a good time to be politically correct. We have to say things as they are.
In her efforts, she has been recognized as one of the 10 most influential climate youth activists by Greenpeace. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Nisa on stage to address her keynote with you.
It wasn't until the Derna disaster it was revealed that Libya has not been submitting their national determined contribution and national adaptation plans to COP. How many states out there, whether developing or developed, are putting on a show on these very important high-level meetings? many Cyclone Daniel scale disasters do we need to start taking action?
I wish that people understood that what happened to Libya, that led to the death of thousands of people, could happen to almost any country in the world. I've lived with wildfires almost my whole life because my mother's family home is in Serra da Estrela and we have wildfires every 4 or 5 years. And they do get very close to our home. You see the fire come down the mountain and you have to manage your emotions and decide what to do. And then the wildfires that destroyed 90% of one of our forests last year. So suddenly, it's not something happening on the other side of the globe, it's something happening close to home. That proximity makes people want to act more. It's something that's happening to their children, and it's their children that's at stake. And I don't want to say we need more young, brave, and loud people to speak, because I think that's putting a lot of responsibility on a generation that did not destroy the planet.
I started doing climate activism because I lost family members, because I visibly saw conflict and war result out of people wanting to get resources. When you become hungry, you become angry. When you do that much destruction, when you just destroy entire lives and people and land and soil and even the dead, you don't leave them untouched, you're gonna face the consequences. I look to my right and I look to my left, and it's advocates, it's youth leaders, and we're all carrying this candle in a tunnel of darkness. And in order to make it out of this tunnel, we're going to need more love than ever, ever, ever before. More hope than ever, ever before. So, if I were in this position again, I would gamble on humanity again. I would do this again.